Hello and greetings, this is the Melancholic Mystery Man, or you can call me M3. So I want to reflect on what has happened in the new Pokemon anime series, Pokemon 2019, or Pokemon Journeys as we call it in the dub. The anime has aired 22 episodes before the hiatus, and is already returning on June 7th, 2020, much sooner than I thought. And I want to go over how the new anime series has handled its story and characters so far before the hiatus began, and also what it means for the near future, for better or for worse. The reason I want to do this is to get some viewers who are watching the Pokemon anime up to speed, and understand how the anime is going so far and what I think of it. Think of it as a recap if you want. So without further ado, let's get started. I want to begin with the fact that Pokemon Journeys is taking a different direction than previous series, much like the SM series, in that it will take place in multiple regions, including the 8th gen region of Galar for Sword and Shield. While the premise looks good on paper, it all depends on the execution of its story elements, and my god do I have some thoughts on it. Doing something different is fine on its own, but the execution should be important. It's the same feeling I experienced throughout the SM series when it tries to do something different, but not in a good way. We'll talk more about that later. For now, I want to talk about the new characters introduced in this new series that will be joining Ash on his adventures, Go and Koharu, or Chloe in the dub. Let's focus on Go first. Before the anime even aired, Go was revealed via leak alongside his future Scorbunny and Ash, indicating to be the Deuteragonus of the series. The people's reaction to Go is quite odd at the time. Most people thought Go is a girl, while others think he's a boy. Which, I for one, find confusing since I saw Go being male straight away when I first saw him. I guess if you look closer at what people said to change your perception, you can see why people thought Go was a girl. But I still find the situation confusing at the time. I think the term for this kind of character is trap, I think? I don't know if I used that term correctly, so apologies in advance. Anyways, the leak also revealed Go's goal, that being to catch all Pokemon and meeting Mew. Yeah, we'll talk more about that later once we get to it. Next we have Koharu/Chloe, the daughter of Professor Sakuragi, or Cerise in the dub, another new character introduced, and all we know at the time is that she has a Yamper, a Gen 8 Pokemon from the Galar region, and is a childhood friend of Go. We'll talk more about these two later when it comes to it, especially Koharu. Alright then, let's move on to how the anime characterizes and portrays Go in the beginning. In the first episode taking place years before the present, we see a young Go being a smart aleck during the Pokemon camp with Professor Oak, identifying and explaining every Pokemon they find, albeit a bit too enthusiastic, much to Koharu's annoyance. Koharu tells Go that his behavior is why he can't make any friends, to which he responds that he doesn't want to get friends, and just wants to catch a Pokemon that no one has ever seen. Go's ambition of meeting Mew comes from him and Koharu finding the elusive Pokemon during the camp, and with Professor Oak's explanation of Mew being an extremely rare Pokemon. Fast forward to the present in episode 2, we see Go to be more analytical and scientific when it comes to approaching Pokemon, when he's observing Lugia while riding on it, which contrasts with Ash's approach being more emotional and just having fun. We also see him being a realist, when he could hardly believe Ash hearing Lugia's telepathic voice during their flight on it. This can create an interesting dynamic between Ash and Go's approach if they can expand upon it in the future. And also, he claims that Mew is going to be his first Pokemon, deciding not to choose one of the Kanto starter Pokemon from Professor Sakuragi, when Sakuragi appoints Ash and Go to be his research assistants. In episode 3, during their investigation of an Ivysaur outbreak in Vermilion City, when Ash tries to help an Ivysaur, Go claims he shouldn't and that it's a mistake to help anyone and everyone, and that if a Pokemon can't do things on its own, it's the end of the line for that Pokemon. If they were to help, they'll rob its strength and will to live. Go also made the statement that just helping someone on a whim is just human delusion. This is such an interesting viewpoint from Go. It really distinguishes Go from Ash in how they perceive the world and their philosophy. Ash wanting to help because of his selflessness and sentimental mindset, thinking that helping others is what allows people to grow. While Go is the opposite, thinking from a scientific and logical point of view, in that it's better to do things on your own and not relying on others. Otherwise, you can't handle things on your own when it comes to it. This difference in opinions and ideologies is compelling enough to be something more through Ash and Go, if the series can develop these clashes of opinions, that is. And it's something the anime series have not really addressed for the first time in the context of the Pokemon world. I hope this anime can continue to explore this theme more in the future. Later, when Ash suggests that they should imitate the Ivysaur and Bulbasaur basking in the sunlight, Go at first hesitates, but then just went along with Ash's method and actually enjoys it, showing that he's more open to Ash's way of thinking. Well, I hope Ash understands where Go is coming from and what he thinks to actually learn something from him for once. In episode 4, during their trip to Winden and Galar, when Go saw how a wild Scorbunny is helping a pack of Nickets survive in the city, he takes pity on them and encourages them to not give up on life and that there are so many places and people to discover, inspiring Scorbunny to go chase after Go into the wild area in episode 5. There, when Scorbunny finally catches up to Go, Go stubbornly insists that Mew will be his first Pokemon, much to Scorbunny's dismay, but changes his mind after dealing with the Gigantamax Snorlax blocking the train tracks with the help of Scorbunny. That's the gist of how the beginning of the anime portrays Go so far and how he met Scorbunny. Though regarding Scorbunny, its backstory of being a leader of a gang or some other group has already been done with Ash's Bulbasaur, Squirtle, and a little bit of Hawlucha there, so it isn't really unique in terms of the overall anime. I mean, they could have gone with something else, but no, the writers had to settle on this redone backstory. Maybe since the anime has been running for so long, who knows? I'll talk more about Go later, regarding a certain issue with him that plagued the series so far. I'm sure you all are aware of the Kaburaja in the room regarding Go in later episodes. Oh, don't you worry, we'll get there soon. Anyways, Goharu's up next. In the beginning, we see how she's annoyed by Go's enthusiasm and his obsession with researching Pokemon, especially when it comes to him skipping school Koharu attends. We also see that she doesn't care about Go's encounter with Lugia, a legendary Pokemon mind you, and just handed him schoolwork just like that. Again, she's the daughter of Professor Sakuragi and has a Yamper, and that's all I'm going to say for now. In case you didn't realize it, I have certain issues with her as well, and I'm sure everyone else has too, but I'm saving that for later. Now on to Professor Sakuragi. Sakuragi to me doesn't really stand out among the other professors. I would say kind of bland, and he falls into the generic formula of other professors due to his goal of understanding Pokemon better, Sycamore and Kukui being the exceptions as they are more distinguished in terms of personalities and goals. I hope we get more out of Sakuragi, and eventually Sonia and Magnolia from the Galar region once we get to it. Oh, and he has two other assistants besides Ash and Go, Renji and Kikuna, or Ren and Krissa in the dub, but they're not important. Now on to Ash Ketchum himself. In episode 2, we immediately get a glimpse of all the badges and trophies of past regions Ash has gone to, with the royal mask figure to top it all off. This means that this is not a rebooted version of Ash, which is fine on its own, as long as the series keeps up with the continuity and actually addresses it in later episodes. At first, Ash is helping out Go and Sakuragi with traveling around the world to research and gather data on Pokemon. But that all changed when he and Go went to the Galar region for the Pokemon World Championship finals between Lance and Leon, the champion of Galar himself. There, his Pikachu gains his Gigantamax form, aka Fat Pikachu, thanks to Eternatus no less, I think. And Ash battles with his new power against Leon and his one and only Gigantamax Charizard, but utterly lost anyway, motivating Ash to enter a ranked tournament so he can climb up the ranks to battle Leon, the greatest of them all. Well, with the way the anime portrays Leon to be the best of the best among champions, I'm sure this will piss many people off since I'm sure the majority of them will say Cynthia is the best due to the Gen 4 games. But this is anime, and we all know the anime's universe is different than the games, may I want to remind everyone? Still, it does make me think that Leon and Cynthia are more distinguished and popular than the other champions. Tangent aside, I also want to mention the Pokemon Ash has caught so far, Dragonite, Gengar, and Riolu. A very surprising team he has so far, since these are the Pokemon fans want Ash to have for so long, and now their dreams are coming true in this anime. It shows how far Ash has gone as a trainer over the years, and it looks like the writers want Ash to have the most popular and powerful Pokemon in his team. Glad they actually want Ash to be strong right away instead of resetting him. Oh, and also, Team Rocket is back once again. I mean, it wouldn't be a Pokemon anime series without Team Rocket getting involved, yeah? I hope Team Rocket as a whole will get a major role in this new series, unlike how the SM series did with the Necrozma arc. Anyways, this time, Team Rocket has a new gimmick every time Ash and Go encounters them. They summon this gacha machine that vends random Pokemon for them to battle with, different ones each time. I mean, it is different in that we don't know what kind of Pokemon Team Rocket will get from that gacha machine, and that it provides variety in their encounters with Ash and Go. But I would like it if they had a new Pokemon that will stay with them along with this new mechanic, which they did in the form of Chewtle from the Galar region so far. Speaking of villainous teams, I hope the writers don't screw over Team Yell in the anime like they did with Team Skull in the SM series. As in, not having much screen time and barely appearing overall. And having the leader of said team not appearing much until the very end of the series and almost has no proper resolution to their arc. God, why did the writers do that to them? I think that's all the characters that I want to introduce that have appeared in the series. Now then, let's get back to talking about Go. And, well, remember when I was praising Go's character earlier? Well, with just one episode, all that respect I had for Go is just thrown out the window, causing me to despise Go for what he is and what he has done in the anime so far. This episode is the catalyst that caused the anime series to be called into question and starting to go downhill from here with Go. This episode is the biggest red flag and the source of the overarching problem with the series so far. And it's only episode 6! Alright then, time for me to tear into this episode and tear into Go's character as well. Ho-ho, I've been waiting for this. This one's going to be a doozy. So, episode 6 starts us off with Go wanting to catch a lot of Pokemon to fill out his Pokedex with Ash wanting to help. So they go off into the wild to catch some Pokemon. Oh, and Go brought a lot of Pokeballs with him to do the job. I'm not going to go into detail how this episode went, because this episode is straightforward, frustrating, and kind of boring. Basically, Go decides to catch all bug-type Pokemon from the Kanto region. When I say catch all bug-type Pokemon, I mean he also catches a full evolutionary line of that Pokemon. Like with the Butterfree line, he caught a Caterpie, a Metapod, and a Butterfree. Which I find redundant in that you can just train one Pokemon of that species to evolve without having to catch each evolutionary stage of that Pokemon. But that isn't the main problem with this episode. The main problem is Go himself, which would later on become the series' problem itself. What I despise about Go is that he cares about completing his Pokedex while not caring to actually bond with his Pokemon or the character of the Pokemon at all. To him, it's quantity over quality. I mean, we all knew that Go's goal is to catch all Pokemon before the anime aired. The issue with this is how it's executed in this episode and the following episodes to come. Go caught all of the Kanto bug Pokemon in, well, one go, without even trying to battle them or with the Pokemon putting up any resistance. It doesn't help that the Pokemon he's captured don't seem to mind getting captured without Go earning their respect first, which really failed to connect the audience to Go or the world of the Pokemon anime, or the fact that he didn't even use Scorbunny to battle first. Aren't you supposed to weaken the Pokemon first before catching it? I mean, in the past, there are some lucky one-try catches, but here, Go did it ad nauseum in this episode and from here on out. And so this gave rise to the term called the Go's Catching Spree, or Go's Catching Rampage. The fact that Go is able to catch Pokemon with no effort whatsoever and just caring about catching Pokemon to fill out his Pokedex and to see Mew without ever trying to bond with the Pokemon he caught is just pure stupidity, and it gets old really fast because in later episodes, this gimmick continues. Whenever he sees a Pokemon on site, and I do mean any Pokemon he lays his eyes upon, whether he and Ash are traveling in other regions or walking around in Kanto, he just catches them with one try without ever battling them. Sometimes, and gets obnoxiously excited. With his numerous amount of Pokeballs he kept, as you all will keep seeing. It also doesn't help that we are subjected to witness Go throwing countless Pokeballs one after another whenever he sees multiple Pokemon or trying to catch one that is resisting. This is most prevalent in episode 20. The random and repetitive catches Go made in later episodes is beginning to become stale and soon became nothing special. As of right now, I think Go has become a pariah to the Pokemon anime community, getting on their nerves with his one-try catching spree. I think everyone hoped for Go to change his ways in terms of his goals, because it's impossible to catch every Pokemon in the world in this anime's run, and that Go needs to learn about actually bonding with his Pokemon rather than treating them as objects to be collected. This made Go look like a Pokemon hoarder. God, I mean, Pokemon Black and White's story is all about questioning how trainers are treating their Pokemon and how bonds are important when interacting with them. Are you telling me that the writers just forgot about that concept? God damn it, Go, why are you like this? No, a better question. Why did the writers wrote Go like this? Is it because they are trying to promote the likes of Pokemon Go? And that his name is Go? Well, there is a character named Go Onizuka in Yu-Gi-Oh! Vrains, but still. Who knows? I really wish we had the answers to those questions. I think Go is meant to represent a group of fans who don't battle and just wants to catch them all, but that doesn't work in anime. At this point, Go has become a hateable character and a bad character at the same time. What I mean is it's that his overall demeanor is hateable in the context within the story. Like if there's a character you love to hate or is meant to be hated. And he's a bad character in that his overall existence is a detriment to the series as of right now, with his catching sprees. And I do mean that Go just drags the series down whenever he employs his one-try catching sprees. Whenever Go pulls out his blasted Pokeballs, I just groan and knew what's coming. I don't know, just seeing Go just pull out his Pokeballs is just aggravating. I never knew such a minor trait can be such a huge problem and might induce some facepalming. The anime really got us with Go's character and development in the beginning, then devolving into frustration and disappointment, maybe resulting Go in being a Gary Stew with the way he flawlessly catches Pokemon. So back to the episode, after catching all bug-type Pokemon from Kanto, Sakuragi offers Go to let his captured Pokemon play in the institution's Sakuragi Park. I mean, at least they are not confined to their Pokeballs all the time and not treated like objects for the most part. But what's Go going to do with them? Are they just going to stay stuck in that lab and Go will never bond with them? Why even catch them at all? Go has a Pokedex with info for all Pokemon and he just treats them like collectibles rather than living creatures, which does not work for the anime universe. He could just study and research them without catching them at all. Also, it doesn't help that in episode 20, Go claims that just catching Pokemon helps you understand them better and bond with them, and that it's the way to reach Mew. That doesn't make any sense, you one-trick Ponyta! How does your method amount to anything you said? Especially with the way you went about it, catching them and barely even caring about them for Arceus' sake. Also, I'm pretty sure you won't get to meet Mew just because you can catch them all. He's not making himself any better at this point. His goal is poorly thought out and underdeveloped, and I'm sure I have people backing me up on this in some of Pokemon Ranger Boy's videos on the series. I recommend checking out his video's comment sections on episodes 6 and 20 to understand the situation. Update. I'm well aware of episode 23 and that Go actually takes care of his Pokemon in Sakuragi Park and that we get to see his Pokemon's characters, but my point still stands regarding Go's catching sprees, his attitude and methods, and the question of what will he do with them once he catches every Pokemon and how will that let Go meet Mew. Back to the topic at hand, I also want to mention that Go is inexperienced when it comes to battling. This comes to the forefront in episode 7 when Ash and Go went to the battle frontier in Hoenn to participate in a tournament. During the battle against Hoshi, this Josuke-like character, we see that Go is trying to win this battle with rational thinking and analytical skills, but suffered a humiliating loss so quickly. This shows how Go really never battled or is never interested in battles in the first place, which really contrasts with Ash's experience as a trainer. This could create an interesting dynamic between them in how they approach battles or any other dire situations, if it wasn't for the painful fact that Go's catching spree just to complete the Pokedex just to see Mew gets in the way. This is noteworthy when Go later on insists that catching Pokemon is better and runs off acting like a sore loser, but not before Ash telling Go to watch his match. I really don't know how to explain Go's existence as a character. Can someone please do a better job at explaining Go's character, please? Some people say that Go is supposed to be written like that, to be unlikable and a person who only cares about catching Pokemon and a stubborn dream of meeting Mew, like when he didn't apologize for trying to catch Hoji's Mightyena and just gets upset when things didn't go his way. But to me, the line between what makes a meant-to-be hated character and a bad character blurs because of Go's existence. I don't really know how to explain it, but should I view Go as a bad character from the outside when viewing how the story is structured? Or a hated character in the context within the universe Go is in and suspend my disbelief? I mean, there are characters who are supposed to be written like that in other fiction that makes sense but still enjoyable at times, and there are characters who drove me up the wall with their presence and what the writers have done to them. Again, Go really showed promise with this character in the beginning, until episode 6 came along and threw everything likable about him out the window, triggering a downward spiral for him almost immediately. It's amazing how the show built him up as an interesting character, then just ruined everything with one episode, making him a Pokeball throwing maniac with no care in the world. Go should sooner or later learn that there's more to being a trainer than just catching them for a ridiculous goal of catching them all just to get to Mew. Which, again, the goal itself doesn't make a lot of sense when you think about it. How is catching them all helping Go get to Mew? And what's he going to do once he meets Mew? I don't think the writers even thought this through when creating a goal for Go. They should have fleshed his goal out a bit more to make some sense in the grand scheme of things. I guess one good thing we got out of Go is in episode 15, where we meet his parents and how they're worried about Go being an introvert, always doing research on his computers, that they feel bad for not spending time with him due to their own jobs, and are worried that he might not make any friends aside from Koharu. You know, the typical family drama. But it is a nice touch we get to see something like this that's rarely ever done in Pokemon. Well then, it looks like I've said what needs to be said on Go. Now let's talk about the other thing about him, his Score Bunny. What I want to focus on Score Bunny is his character arc, which begins during episode 17, where Go's Darmanitan challenges Score Bunny to use a Fire-type move, to which he fails to do. Go thinks that Score Bunny doesn't need to try so hard to learn Ember and says that his quick attack and double kick is all he needed to get stronger, much to Score Bunny's protests, but Go insists that you can't do what you can't do. So Score Bunny tries to use Ember again and again until he made some progress and tries to show it off to Go, but he ignores him while doing something else. During the battle with Team Rocket, Score Bunny tries to use Ember to attack, but failed and is knocked out, causing Go to ask why it tried to use that move. When Score Bunny tries to use Ember in a last-ditch effort to prove itself, this caused Go to snap at him, saying it isn't good enough and that he should stop trying and just use the moves he had now. But Score Bunny threw a tantrum over it, causing Go to be fed up with him and Score Bunny to run away. Go, of course, acts like a jerk, frustrated and confused, claiming he tried to help Score Bunny to get better at battling. Though Ash tries to explain how he and Pikachu fight, saying that Go and Score Bunny aren't really working together, and also saying that Go should get close to Score Bunny a little more until he understands. Later, Go realizes a way for Score Bunny to use Ember, and during their second battle against Team Rocket, Go has Score Bunny use Ember by using its burning feet to kick a pebble, setting it on fire as an attack. This causes Score Bunny to evolve into Raboot, and after the battle, Raboot just walks past Go, ignoring his high five, giving the cold shoulder. We see that Go is rather inconsiderate of Score Bunny's feelings and that he neglects Score Bunny's wish to try out something new. He is also really ignorant of Score Bunny from what I've seen. He thinks that doing things with only what you have without trying other things is the way to go, which is a part of his ideology that conflicts with Ash. But I think it's understandable for Go and why he did it. He's being a realist like in our world in that there are things people can and can't do. However, I think he went a bit too far in his ideals and not considering Scorbunny's feelings and what hidden potential it has. So once Scorbunny evolves into Reboot, it seems that Reboot doesn't immediately forgive Go for how he treated him and started to disobey him. And Go kind of deserved that given his behavior in this episode. I don't think it's just that evolution can change a Pokemon's personality. This could make an interesting plotline for Go and Reboot and how Go should earn back Reboot's trust and understand Reboot's wishes. Some say this evolution is too early, but I think it's necessary to further Go's development due to his previous actions in past episodes. Also, for those who say that this is just like Ash's Charizard's arc, the circumstances between them are different enough to warrant intrigue without feeling completely copied. Anyways, later on, we see Reboot is still with Go, and has an interest in battling when witnessing Ash's rank battle with an opponent by the name of Vizkiz, a substitute gym leader of Lieutenant Surge. We also see that Reboot acts before Go even commands him to do anything, showing his disobedience to Go. Throughout later episodes up to episode 22, Reboot always seems so disinterested and nonchalant every time we see him, especially around Go. This would all come to the forefront in episode 22, Goodbye Reboot, the last episode to air before the hiatus. Now I know everyone will say that it will be like Goodbye Pikachu in the original series, in that the Pokemon getting released returns back to the trainer, which is true by the way, just a heads up, but it's a little different in that this episode is a mixed bag in how it handles the relationship between Go and Reboot, and especially how they resolved it. During their trip to Little Root Town in Hoenn to observe the Beautifly migration, Go takes notice of Reboot's behavior, and after multiple times of being ignored and distant, Go breaks and demanded Reboot to tell him why he has acted like this ever since it evolved, thinking Reboot really hated him. Although, an apple merchant says this behavior reminded her of her son and that Reboot is in a rebellious phase, which gives Go some assurance that that's what's happening. During the night, Go notices that Reboot is going out at night in secret. So on the third day of Reboot's night out, Ash and Go found out that Reboot is performing breakdance moves to teach to the other wild Pokemon present. This reminded Go of how when it was a Scorbunny, it used to take care of some Nickit back in Galar. Ash thinks Reboot might be the new leader of this group, and Go realizes that Reboot smiled when he's around the stray Pokemon. Suddenly, some wild Loudred came crashing and confront Reboot's group. Reboot and the others began to dance and play a rhythm, until the Loudred group threw them off with their loud voices, and began to perform their own dance to get up on their grill. Go concludes it's a dance battle to fight over territory, and that Reboot wants to help the wild Pokemon with it. Then Go decides to help Reboot in overcoming Loudred's moves, as well as Ash and Pikachu, much to Reboot's surprise. So they begin the dance off with Reboot performing sick moves that managed to shock the Loudred, but eventually they started to dance along with Reboot, and soon more Pokemon join in. They soon finish off the dance and everyone cheers. The next day, Go thinks that Reboot is rather happy to be with a stray Pokemon rather than with him, and decides to leave without him. Go tells Ash that he decided to release Reboot and explains that the reason Reboot seemed bored and cold all the time is not because of a rebellious phase, but that it was his fault the entire time, although he never gave a reason why it's his fault to the viewers. Ash then asks if Go told Reboot about this, causing Go to be horrified and starts going back. But the train is leaving and Go rushes towards the end of the train to try to get out, but to no avail, and starts to despair. But surprise! Reboot is already on the train and has returned to Go, decided to stay with him. Reboot gives him an apple and Go saw a small smile, making him overly delighted that Reboot finally accepts him. Okay, that's all of episode 22. Now, I want you all to remember the events that happened. We know that Reboot has been distant and disobedient to Go because of their argument in episode 17. We know that Reboot has some interest in battling during the Ash vs. Vizkiz episode. We know this episode is supposed to be where the issue has come to the forefront and is expected to get resolved. But do you know what I think? I don't see how this episode immediately resolves Go and Reboot's problems in a logical way. That dance battle makes no sense in the contribution to Go and Reboot's real problems. It's the fact that Go just cares about catching Pokemon and never even bothered to bond with them and never really bothered with battling, which conflicts with Reboot's desires, and that Reboot has difficulty trusting Go because of it, I think. Although it's never clear what Reboot really wants, but it's been hinted that Reboot wants to battle and get stronger, but the episode never even addressed it. Maybe it's going to get addressed later in the series as a continuation of Go and Reboot's development, but who knows when will that happen. Go just helps Reboot with the dance battle to win. But the thing is, the dance battle almost has no connection to Go and Reboot's real problems. If I had to guess how the dance battle contributes, maybe it helps Go to understand what Reboot wants to do and that Reboot is thankful that Go considers its feelings. I don't really know. I hope somebody can explain why this episode did or did not work in terms of resolving Go and Reboot's conflict. This makes me question and worried on how the series will handle Go and Reboot in the future. Will Go finally learn that what he is doing to reach his goal is selfish and detrimental? Will he understand Reboot's desire to battle like I assume? Will he finally stop his one-go catching spree? Who knows? Update. Unfortunately, Go continues his catching spree during the recent Team Rocket episode and the Ash vs. Karina episode. My god, this is so infuriating. There's a podcast made by KG Mundial about this episode, and I want you all to watch the whole thing to understand what is going on, and what am I trying to say, especially listen to Terrell. I want to hear from you all what you think about this whole debacle between Go and Reboot, because I'm stumped if this is how it should be or not. Okay, whew, that's a long tirade about Go, but it is necessary to understand what happened and how it happened to determine this series' quality of storytelling. I hope some of you may realize what's happening and able to understand where this is all coming from.